Good morning, worldwide. Hickson here, CEO of Ghetto Heat and Ghetto Heat TV. Here today in my bed, wanting to discuss Essence bestseller, Convict'S Candy, written by Damon Amin Meadows and Jason Poole. Convict'S Candy is like one of the most controversial books that I've ever published at Ghetto Heat. Why? Because of the subject matter. Okay, I'm going to read the synopsis and then I'm going to discuss all about Convict'S Candy and the history of it, okay? Alright, so here we go. Nothing sweeter than candy. Ever wonder if the man in your life has been incarcerated? Turn to another with alternative lifestyle for comfort? Meet Candy Sweets, a teenage pre-op transsexual who gets arrested and sent to federal prison exactly 1 week before her scheduled sex change operation. Still having male organs, Candy is forced with strong, masculine, handsome male inmates who haven't touched a woman in years. Candy soon finds herself being caught in several love affairs, with men having families, girlfriends, and wives at home waiting for them to be released. Yet, Candy doesn't kiss and tell. She understands the code of silence. What happens in the prison stays in prison. Convict'S Candy deal with sexual identity, prostitution, and homosexuality within the prison system, the interactions and relationships between inmates and officers, infidelity, and most importantly, explains how the HIV virus spreads rampantly within the prison. It also reveals the dangerous and deadly disease is transmitted within society when infected inmates are released to go home. This is a very important book. Why? Because it's helped saving lives around the world. HIV and AIDS is one of the most deadliest diseases of all time. It's beyond even a pandemic. This book is actually helping fight the transmission of the deadly disease. This is one of the reasons why I actually published this book, Convict'S Candy, because it's helping save lives. One thing about me, I don't just publish books to just make money. They all have to have a purpose. And this book, it helps everyone, especially black women, because to date, unfortunately, black women are the highest risk to catch HIV and AIDS due to, unfortunately, down low men, gay men who hide behind the scenes, not revealing their true sexuality, and unfortunately having sex with women and infecting them with HIV, which later turns to AIDS. The story behind Convict'S Candy. So, Jason Poole, who's co-author of this book, contacted me in 2005. He was actually signed to another company, but he wasn't really happy with his situation. So nonetheless, he contacted me. And I was just baffled because he was with one of the top selling urban publishers at that time. So I wrote him a letter to let him know that I just wasn't interested because, see, with me, I always take authors from the ground up and I help them build their career. I'm never poaching authors and taking them from other companies. So when he contacted me, I just let him know I wasn't interested. But then he later wrote me back explaining, his unhappiness with the company. And he sent me his contract and it just went from there. He sent me his manuscript. Now, the manuscript was okay, but it just wasn't what I was looking for at that time. So I told him, I'll take it, but it's going to take some time because I need to do all the editing. One thing about me, Hickson, CEO of Ghetto Heat, the stories come to me and they're great, but I have to add enhancements to them to make them greater. So I said, well, it's going to take me some time to do your novel. And he said, well, you know what? I'm working with this guy. His name is Damon Amin Meadows. And we have this new book that we're working on. And I'm going to send you the manuscript. And he sent me Convict'S Candy manuscript. And I'm telling you, I read this book in like 3 hours. And it was exactly what I wanted. And this was the first novel that I published. Remember, I did Ghetto Heat first, my book of poetry and prose. But I still needed a novel to push. This was the first one that came to me. And it was a blessing in disguise because it has done phenomenally well. Not only did it make Essence bestsellers list, it has become a national bestseller around the world. I've sold thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Convict's Candy. And again, I published this book in 2003, February 4th, which is my birthday, 2003. People today are still fighting to get to this book. I actually took it out of the stores for a real reason. I'll discuss that later. But I'm telling you, readers around the world contact me on all my sites wanting to read Convict's Candy. I'm telling you, this book is incredible. I'll show you the cover once again. On the cover, you actually have Paris Gotti. Now, Paris Gotti was actually born a man. Okay, take a good look again. Yes, this person was born a man. I found I found Paris Gotti one day walking in the Village. After discussing this book with Jason Poole and Damon Amin Meadows, we needed someone on the cover who would depict that full story. They had to be glamorous, beautiful, young, and just undetectable. I mean, when you look at this person, does this person really look like a man? Seriously. So I was on a mission to find a transgender who would fit the character to Convict's Candy. And I didn't have to search hard. I walked in the Village one day, and then someone said, you know what, I think I know someone who would be perfect for your book. His name was David, a great friend of mine. And then he gave me the information to meet Candy, and then I told Candy, after she called me, meet me in the Village. Christopher Street, West 4th Street. How you doing? Nonetheless, I met Paris, and oh my God, totally fit the bill. So we actually shot this book right before Labor Day. She came to my friend's studio, Jason Mickle, who actually shot the actual book cover. And we went to his lab, and it was just like an awesome day. She shot the book. And the funny part about it is she came late to the studio, and she had changed her hair color. When I met her, her hair was like a deep black. When I met her at the studio, she changed it to like this blonde color. And I'm like, oh my God, you done totally changed the look. She had no makeup on. Her hair wasn't together. But I tell you one thing. She went into the bathroom. It took her, seriously, 7 minutes to do her hair and makeup. She had no makeup artist or no hairstylist. This is what she came up with in 7 minutes. Now, I'm a stickler for time because I'm anal like that. She did this in 7 minutes. So, nonetheless, we shot this cover in like 5 minutes. That's all it took. I have actually other prints of the book, but this is the one I chose for the cover. I might do a remake for the second edition, because while I'm also contacting you, I am about to re-release Convict's Candy. Convict's Candy, a Ghetto Heat production, will be actually an ebook as well as in paperback. And I'm going to have it for you real soon. Real soon. What I'm doing right now is I rushed this book. And it was just a fierce ordeal editing this book, because you got to realize Jason Poole and Damon Amin Meadows, they were in federal prison doing drug charges, and it was just kind of hard having them to give me all details of the book. So basically, how this book came about, Damon Amin Meadows had an idea, and then he actually did all his research, and he was trying to put the book together, but he wasn't used to actually book writing. So what he did was, since Jason Poole, who actually, his novel landed on Essence bestsellers list, he figured, why don't I just have him work on the book, and then hopefully this will be Convict's Candy will become an Essence bestseller also. So basically, Amin did the research. Jason Poole is fully responsible for helping Amin write the book. But then I got the book, and I'm like, you know what? Story is great. I can make it greater. I added all gay terms to the book. I added all fashion to the book. I also added just gay lingo, because my whole thing is Jason Poole and Damon Amin Meadows isn't gay. I'm gay, very proud. And they didn't have all the real terms, all the underground lingo. You know, what's the tea? You know, she's carrying on, you know, just anything to enhance, to make the characters seem authentic. I added all gay lingo to the book. So I also enhanced it. I added some personal items into the book. So although Damon and Amin wrote the book, I helped them write it too, but I felt the need not to ask for a editor's editor's credit on the book, because I'm already the publisher. I just want my editor's credit. So I didn't put my name on the book to say that I actually wrote it with them. I'm just here as an editor and publisher of Convict'S Candy, a Ghetto Heat production. So always know, Ghetto Heat is the first to publish Convict'S Candy. And that whole editing process, it was just an ordeal, because when Damon Amin Meadows and Jason Poole call me, they only have 15 minutes to speak over the phone. So they have to tell me as much as possible in 15 minutes. And that's like short of enough time to really discuss a book. So they had to write me, let me know all grammatic errors that needed to be fixed. And I did my best at what I could. But I actually did a great job. This is the first book that I actually edited. And I really feel I've done a great job, considering it was my first book that I actually did this. And I published this book through a very trying time. I was homeless. I had no apartment. I had no money other than the actual money that came in from Ghetto Heat. I had no real money to do this, but thank God my credit was good. And I actually purchased 5,000 copies of Convict'S Candy on my credit card. But I didn't have any place to stay. I was sleeping with family and friends on couches, on the floor, doing whatever I needed to do to keep my company going. I had no intentions of going back to corporate America, working for a boss, achieving their goals and making their dreams come true, when I had my own. And my whole goal was to not work for them anymore. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I just knew I wanted my own. So I discovered actually book writing and just said, you know what? That's the ticket I want to be on, because I'm being creative, I'm helping people with readership, and I'm creating fantastic books. So I just became a book publisher 2002, and by, like I said, 2003, I purchased Convict'S Candy. I actually published Ghetto Heat, and the success of the sales from Ghetto Heat had me manifest Convict'S Candy. So this is basically how the story goes. But again, it wasn't just about publishing the book. I had to actually have this book placed in distributors' offices so they can actually ship the book worldwide. And I didn't even have a national book publisher to actually place the book in Walden Books, Borders, B. Dawson's, all the big chain stores. You can't just walk into a chain store just because you have a book and say, hey, I want to leave some books on consignment with you. You have to have a middle person to do this, which is the book publisher. And by this time, with the success of Ghetto Heat, I had actually landed on National Book Network, which is the largest book publisher of the world. So the law was on my side. Like, I didn't go to Ingram. I went straight to National Book Network, and they are the biggest. You can look them up. They are the biggest in the world. When I joined them, they placed this book in all aspects of book publishing. The airports, like I said, Walden Books, Borders, Barnes and Nobles, anywhere books were sold, Convict'S Candy was there. So this is one of the reasons why we were able to get Convict'S Candy to be Essence bestseller, as well as a world's national bestseller. It's a phenomenal book. And like I tell you, the story is incredible. So basically, Candy, how the book starts, it goes into the whole life of Candy when Candy was like a young guy and just discovering sexuality. And then it manifests into Candy wanting to be a woman and all the aspects she's doing to become that. I don't want to tell you the full story because, like I said, Convict'S Candy is a very interesting book. You must read it. Like, it doesn't matter if you're straight, gay, transgender, bisexual. This book you must read. Convict'S Candy, a Ghetto Heat production. Convict'S Candy also has been duplicated, and I'll discuss that later. But nonetheless, this is the official book. Convict'S Candy, a Ghetto Heat production. Don't purchase this book unless you see a Ghetto Heat production. And that's real talk. But nonetheless, it wasn't just having the book. This book needed to be spread worldwide. So what I have done, and it's even been documented by Damon Amin Meadows in interviews, I actually put my career as a writer on hold to actually push this book. I was working on, actually, after I finished Ghetto Heat, I was working on my first novel, which is called Skate On. Skate On is actually a book placed in Harlem in the 80s. It just talks about the life and times of the world in the 80s. And actually, it discusses 3 females that's actually living life on the streets and learning life on the streets while hanging in Harlem at the rooftop roller skating rink on 155th Street, right across the street from the Rucker. So it's going to discuss that, and in time, I'm going to get back to it because that was my original plan. But I put my own career on the line and my project on the back burner just to put this book forward. Right. I was being selfless, not selfish, selfless. And I pushed the book. And like I said, Damon Amin Meadows and Jason Poole, they were doing time in federal prison. They couldn't come out here and push the book. So what I also did, I took Convict'S Candy to every store. Doesn't matter, from Harlem, Brooklyn, Queens, New Jersey, Delaware, Atlanta, straight on, straight through DC, Virginia, straight on and straight through. And I did so many book signings for Convict'S Candy. I can't even list how many book signings that I've done. And just not the national bookstores, the chains. I went to all independent bookstores, mom and pop books. But it didn't stop there. I went to book events like Circle of Sisters, not just in New York, different states. But I didn't stop there also. What I also did, I took Convict'S Candy to book vending tables all on 125th Street, all up in the Bronx on 149th and 3rd Avenue, 34th Street, right across the street from Macy's, signing copies, selling them to the readers, signing copies. Jamaica Avenue in Queens, DC Book Diva, a table in Washington, D.C. I've taken this book everywhere. Because again, Jason Poole, Damon Amin Meadows, they were in federal prison. There was no way they can market this book, promote it, and sell it. So I went and I signed copies. And you got to also remember, I did all the editing. So I knew the book inside out. One thing a lot of people don't realize is that the work of an editor is more extensive than the author. Now, the author, they create the story, which is great and phenomenal. But sometimes they don't really know the pace of the book. And that's where I come in. What I do at Ghetto Heat is no different from a music producer like Diddy. Someone comes like Mary J. Blige will come to Diddy. Mary J. Blige have a range. And you can't always have range at high octaves. You got to know how to pace the story. Sometimes you got to slow it down. Do it easy. Then by the time you get to that midpoint, you're in high octane. That's what I do at Ghetto Heat. I am basically producing this book from the first chapter to the end. So I got to make sure the story is right, but not just a story in grammatical errors. I got to make sure you got the right fashion in here, music, pacing of the stories. I've included flashbacks. I have done so much, so much to this book. And like I said, it was a great book because Jason Poole really helped Damon Amin Meadows achieve the book that he couldn't produce on his own. And then I just took it to a next higher level. So I just really wanted you to know how this all came about. My book tour. My book tour was extensive. Like I said, I was on the road on Greyhound, just traveling to all different states, all different stores on Greyhound. You know, people try to knock me because they say, oh, Greyhound is a cheap way to go. Yeah, it is. Because my whole thing was, why would we be spending money going on airplanes, business class, spending up all our monies when we have royalties to make? If I'm constantly on airplanes touring Convict'S Candy or any other book, we won't have any royalties. So yes, I went from state to state on Greyhound. And I was on Greyhound so much, I was getting free tickets at times. That's how much I was traveling. And it was insane because, like I said, I was still homeless. There was no going to hotels and spending, $100 to $200 a night because I have a book signing in Washington, D.C. to do. You know, I might have to go to a book signing, Howard University. They may say, okay, Hickson, we want you down here for 2 days. So that means I have to stay 2 to 3 days in a hotel that might be $200 a night plus travel. Who can afford that? So what did Hickson do? Go to the book signing. And if I wasn't able to leave my books at the actual event, I would have to take them with me. Hang out in the streets, have some McDonald's or any other fast food that was there, eat, and sometimes go right back to Greyhound, act like I'm out to go back home, but actually sleeping there. Yes, sleeping in Greyhound just to get this book, Convict'S Candy, out there. You have no idea what I have done to get this book out. Sleeping in Greyhound stations. But I did what was necessary to not have to go back to corporate America, work for someone to make their dreams come true, and capitalize on making my own a reality. So that's what I did. Here at Ghetto Heat, I made this book happen. And like I said, this is one of the most top-selling book here at Ghetto Heat. Most of my titles are doing really, really well. This book, Convict'S Candy, is my top seller. The top seller, okay? So far, I have done 6 prints. And this is another funny thing. The book came out the day before my birthday, February 3rd. But February 4th is when I first took this to Kingsborough Walden Books and I did a book signing. There was so much controversy behind this book. For one, like I said, it discusses a transgender and their gay characters within the book. When people found out about the topic of this book, especially, unfortunately, the West Indian community, they were not pleased that this book had gay characters, more or less a transgender, on the cover. Again, this is Paris Gotti. Paris Gotti was born a male. Look at Paris Gotti. Because I want you to understand, the West Indians were not pleased with this book. And also, it wasn't just the readers. The majority of urban publishers, the distributors, they're all West Indian. So you need to understand the drama behind Convict'S Candy. So I have West Indian readers in awe and displeased that I've done this book. But then I would actually take this book to the distributors for them to push it. They did not want to push this book. It was unheard of. Why would someone who does not accept homosexuality to push a book like Convict'S Candy? But guess what? When they realized how fast this book was making money, because, and again, I'm blessed to have this book. But seriously, the numbers on Convict'S Candy is phenomenal. Phenomenal. We did extremely well with publishing this book. Okay? And we're not even finished. We are not finished. Mind you, I don't know exactly what you heard. I'm still pushing this book. And this is one of the reasons why I'm letting you know with this video, I am re-releasing this book, Convict'S Candy, not just in paperback form, but now as an ebook. But see, this is the thing you really need to know and understand. I am not giving this book to anyone. If you want a copy of Convict'S Candy, you're going to have to contact me, Hickson, CEO of Ghetto Heat and Ghetto Heat TV, because I am the only one who will have the paperback book, which is all in my Ghetto Heat warehouse, as well as the digital files. I'm not giving this to any e-tailer. See, you got to understand this, and I'm not going to say the names of the e-tailers, but you'll figure it out. Say, for instance, if I give this book to one of the e-tailers in paperback, I'm sending 500 copies, and they say, okay, well, you sold 450 copies. You have to have proof and document as well as money for it to add up to 450 out of the 500 that I sent. So basically, if you sold 450 of 500 copies of Convict'S Candy, the balance should be 50 books that haven't been sold. So that means you owe me money, profit, for 450 copies. So right there, everything is documented. But with an ebook, a digital file, there's no way you can do that. You can say you sold 100 books, but all 500 could be sold. See what I'm saying? A lot of the e-tailers, they are not giving full documents of sales sold. And this is what I have a problem with, because if you're telling me I only sold 100, but 500 sold, that means I'm not being paid for 400 books. And this is what's going on with e-tailers. So I'm not giving my digital files to no one. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time, repeating it. I'm not giving my digital files to no one. Not only that, I'm not giving the paperback. One reason why I actually stopped doing business with one of the main e-tailers and retailers in business is because of this. And I'm not happy about this. When I first came into the business in 2003, this particular entity, incorporation, to join them, you will only have to pay $30 as an actual annual fee. Plus, they still want percentages of your book. Now, normally how we work this out, like say for instance, Convict'S Candy is $15. If I was to do business with an independent bookstore, my split is always 60-40. Not always 50-50, 60-40, because I'm providing the product for you. And then sometimes your money is not right, and I'm actually blessing you with consignment. So say for instance the book is $15 and I'm doing the book signing at the event. My cut is $9 per book. That's 60% from the 100%. And the store would get $6. 9 plus 6 equals 15. So basically it's always in my favor because I have worked it out that way, you know. Some people take less. God bless them. I have a top selling book. Why would I take less? I need the majority. So once again, my cut out of this 15, I'm always getting 9. Okay, it could be higher, but I'm a fair guy, so I'm only taking $9. But yeah, so that was 2003. They wanted an annual fee of $30. Fine, I give you $30 per year, and then whatever your split is, we'll divvy it up. But by 2015, this particular organization, they got a little too greedy. It went from $30 to $150. And I'm like, wow. Okay. So my whole thing is this. If you're charging me $150 just to have my title, Convict'S Candy, and my other Ghetto Heat books within your organization to push worldwide, what am I getting out of that? Are you doing any marketing for me? Are you doing any promotion for me? Is this book, Convict'S Candy, going to stand against James Patterson's book, Dean Koontz' book, Terry McMillan's book, whatever author's book, whoever's the top person that you have phenomenal sales with at your organization? Are you marketing both books together to bring light and promotion to my titles? When I contacted the actual person in promotions, they told me no. So basically, you're just taking our money and feeling because the stores are closing and you're all abreast to the stores closing, you feel the need to actually charge us more to get our titles. So basically, you're just pimping us. And the Hickson, CEO at Ghetto Heat, is not here to be pimped. Not one bit. So what I just basically said, I'm not renewing my contract with you. And I pulled all my books out. All of them. I even said, send me what you have left, pay me my money, and it's a wrap. Because you're now being too greedy. You taking $150 for me to have my book plus my percentage. So my whole thing is, after we do sales, what am I getting? Exactly. So now, I don't even bother. All sales are coming back to the House of Ghetto Heat. And this is one reason why you always see me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Snapchat, Google, just all of the social media. Because my whole thing is this. I have to get the readers. All the stores are closed, basically. Some are still closing. B. Dalton's, Walden Books are gone. The only thing left is Barnes & Noble. And I got that announcement 2009 from Barnes & Noble's, basically let me know every year for the next 10 years, Barnes & Noble's was closing 100 stores each year. That's a lot of stores, considering most of them have 1,000. But it wasn't just them. Then I got the announcement Walden Books was closing. Borders was closing. Eventually Books A Million will be closed. That's just too many stores closed. So basically I only had the outlets, a few independent bookstores that survived. But you got to realize this. If a major chain store like Walden Books, B. Dalton's, and Barnes & Noble's is closing, do you really think an independent bookshop or a mom and pop shop can survive? Not hardly. They closed sooner than the actual chain stores, which was hateful and hurtful because I really needed these people because they placed my books worldwide. I can't always be in every state at every moment, at any moment at the time. They would help pushing my books. But when they closed during the recession, which was even worse, money was scarce. Times became hard. The recession became stronger. And there was a lot of backbiting by a lot of the book publishers and authors because outlets are gone. Everyone's feisty. Everyone's fighting. Everyone is vicious. Everyone is mad. I had no reason to be mad because life was great. Although I had my struggles because, like I said, I was homeless and, I was making money. I just didn't have the proper housing. But I wasn't mad because, see, my whole thing, I'm always ambitious. regardless of what the situation is or how people can be, Hickson always got a plan. Not just one plan, several. And I do my best to capitalize on them. But I didn't change my prices. Since 2003, there has been no deductions at Ghetto Heat. All my books are all $15. Why am I sitting here charging myself less than what I deserve? It should be more. But like I told you earlier, I'm a fair man. So the books are still $15, but I'm not taking any discounts. There's sometimes I'm on the streets doing book signings at a book vending table. Like say for instance, I'm on 125th Street in Harlem. I might say I see a girl, I'll call her Keisha. Why Keisha? Because I love Keisha. I love that name, Keisha. Okay, nonetheless, I'm seeing Keisha. I'm promoting the book. I'm signing copies to other customers. And Keisha just feels the need, you know, as she has on her Gucci boots, her Gucci pants, her Gucci belt, her big Gucci bag. She might even be wearing a Gucci hat. Feeling fabulous. Go, Keisha, go. I'm not mad. I'm quite impressed. But see, now I'm unimpressed because this book that's $15 that I might be selling on a street vendor at $12, she want to talk me down to maybe $7. What, Keisha? Keisha, we don't sell Ghetto Heat books for $7. My books on the book vending tables are $12. So I'm actually giving you this book, what if a $3 discount? Because if you go into a Barnes and Nobles, the book is going to be $15 plus tax. So here you on the streets, and a book that's normally $15, I'm blessing you for $12. And you want to talk $7. And then her reason for telling me she wants to buy the book for $7 is because other authors and publishers at these book vending events and tables are selling their books sometimes for $5. So she felt $7 was being fair and reasonable. Keisha, girl, bye. You are not getting Ghetto Heat books for $7. So what I would tell someone like Keisha, see me on your next pay period because you're not getting this book for $7. I'm sorry. And then some people be like, well, why did you send her away? She might not get the book. Oh well, oh well. There's no bargaining my books. When you go up in Gucci, because I really need you to understand how I position myself. Top of the line, creme de la creme. And it has nothing to do about who I am. Because if it was who I am, this book would be sky high. Trust. Nonetheless, when you go up at Gucci, do you always see sales discounted merchandise? And if you do, it's few and far between. It's a small item that you might get at discounted prices. That price remains. It's just like buying a car, a Maserati. Do you get Maseratis on sale? Do you even see commercials for Maseratis? See, that's what you really need to understand. When you become a brand like Ghetto Heat and you have done your work, you have laid down your foundation, and your situation is solid, you don't always have to even advertise because the people understand what it is. That's it. You never see an ad or a commercial for Maserati with discounted prices. And if they do a commercial, they just introducing the latest line. There's no price attached. So I need you to understand, when you go up in Gucci, you're not seeing a rack of sales. And that's how it is at Ghetto Heat. The books are $15. Take it or leave it. I'm happy that you blessed me, because when you do bless me with the $15, I'm going to give you a wonderful story that I put my heart and soul in this book. When I'm actually editing a book like Convict'S Candy, I read the book at least 7 times before I actually put it out. There are readers cursing me out. I get emails from people all over the world cursing me out. Hickson, you said this book was going to be available here. You said this book was going to be available there. Yeah, I did. But you got to realize I'm working on other customers and other readers. Other actual authors. I have editorial obligations. I can't just always say, okay, I'm not going to sell this book by Shaw or Mika Miller or AC Britt, etc., because you want a copy of Convict'S Candy. I still got to ship books out. There are convicts who order Ghetto Heat books. They might send me an order for maybe like 100 books per week. I got to mail those books out. So I'm supposed to not make sales because convicts in prison facilities who needs books to be entertained while they're doing their time incarcerated not get their books because I'm still editing Convict'S Candy. Or a bookstore might need a case of books and I might have to stop what I'm doing to send this book to UPS or Federal Express to ship to them so they can ship to who they are. Or if a book club says, you know what, Hickson, we want to order like 300 copies because this is how many members we have per month and we discussed the book. Am I not to ship 300 books to a book club because I'm editing Convict'S Candy? Child, please. Gotta do what I gotta do. Remember, I'm in New York City. New York City has the highest rent of all states. Best believe if you're in New York City and you're surviving, you are a true hustler. Make no mistake, because my rent is not $70. Okay? Trust. So nonetheless, all jokes aside, back to Convict'S Candy. I just really wanted you to know that I, Hickson, CEO of Ghetto Heat and Ghetto Heat TV, will be re-releasing Convict'S Candy, a phenomenal book that discusses the transmissions of HIV and AIDS awareness. You really need to read this book. I don't care what your sexuality is. I don't care if you're a thug or, a conservative type person. You really need to understand how HIV and AIDS is traveling. And I really like how the actual authors, Damon Amin Meadows and Jason Poole, describe how HIV and AIDS is actually being forced into prisons and how a lot of the inmates and convicts are catching it. There's not always condoms in the facilities. And I don't want to give too much of the book, but sometimes you got to wrap it up as best as you can. You might be using a plastic bag and Vaseline to penetrate your mate. You know you can't use Vaseline when you're penetrating because that breaks off the condoms if you're using condoms. But remember, in prison, they don't have condoms to use. So they're doing what they have to do. And then most times, a lot of them are not being responsible. They have been in prison for so many years. The lust for sex is incredible. Some of them are having raw sex with Vaseline. Do you know how painful that is? Do you know you're breaking a lot of membranes having raw sex that way? Being eager, not having sex on a daily basis, and when you finally do, the penetration is just so powerful and so intense. You're busting blood membranes. When you bust those blood membranes in the anus, excuse my French, you're causing a serious problem. And this is how HIV and AIDS is being contacted and just become a deadly situation. So yeah, the book informs you everything on how you can get HIV and AIDS. Again, I am re-releasing Convict'S Candy. My name once again is Hickson, Hickson. My company is called Ghetto Heat, Ghetto Heat, Ghetto Heat, a Ghetto Heat production, Convict'S Candy. I am releasing this book, paperback, as well as ebook form. I hope you enjoy it because, like I said, this book is phenomenal. One thing I do like about this book, it was obtained by Wendy Williams because I sent it to her. Not only did I send this book to Wendy, I sent this book to Angie Martinez, a lot of other folks, but I actually sent this book to Foxy Brown. Shout out to Foxy Brown. Also to Little Kim. Little Kim, I'm still waiting for that phone call. I sent this book to Foxy Brown and Little Kim while they were incarcerated. Foxy Brown was in Rikers Island. I got her information. I sent her a few copies. And not only did she actually contact me, we did an interview on Twitter. 2 pages. 2 days. We did the interview in 2 days. She couldn't do it all on the first day, and she came back and did it the second day. Little Kim, with bad handwriting, sent me a letter. She said she would contact me, but Little Kim's too busy. I'm not mad, Kim. I still love you. And Wendy Williams, when she was at WBLS, she actually made this a part of her book club read. Now, it wasn't the official book that she had chose at that time, but she managed to get it in, and God bless her. God bless her. It was part of her book club, The Wendy Williams Show. So this book has actually gotten the hands of some very important people. And I'm very proud because, like I said, I published this book while being homeless. It was a major ordeal, but nonetheless, I'm still working. Still working on this. Working so hard that I'm re-releasing Convict'S Candy, a Ghetto Heat production. You see up top, because this book is now being duplicated. As they say, always duplicated, never really initiated. Convict'S Candy, a Ghetto Heat production. So like I said, you see this book elsewhere and it doesn't have a Ghetto Heat production on the name, don't purchase it. All the energy is here. No one could put the energy that I put in Convict'S Candy in any other actual book. Trust me. Damon Amin Meadows and Jason Poole are not gay. They don't even know gay terms. All the terms and everything you're reading, most of it came from me. Trust me. I even underlined everything that I've added to this book. And like I said, I didn't need to feel the need to actually take credit as being the third author because I was the publisher. That's fine by me. And I'm getting my cut. This book is a 3-way split. So either all the profits that we actually receive, Jason Poole, Damon Amin Meadows, and myself, Hickson, is split in this book 3 ways. And one thing I do want to say, a great friend of mine, famous black director, Anthony Hemingway. Anthony Hemingway, he did so much. As a matter of fact, the latest project that he worked on was Aretha Genius. Yeah, he did that. He contacted me. He's working towards making Convict'S Candy a movie. Not just a regular movie. One in the theaters. One to be downloaded. An official movie. So I'm really happy about that. We're still working it out. I'm even still dealing with one of the authors so they can actually come to their senses to have this book done. We'll talk about that at another time. Right now, my main goal for this video was to let you know Hickson, CEO of Ghetto Heat and Ghetto Heat TV, is re-releasing Convict'S Candy to be a paperback book as well as ebook. And I hope you will really enjoy reading this book. So, you have any questions, you know how to find me. Go to all my DMs. You know I'm on every social media. All of them. Just leave me a message if you're interested in purchasing the book. Like I said, it's only available at Ghetto Heat. You can't purchase this book anywhere. I'm warning you now. Don't go to that e-tailer that I was trying to discuss asking for this book. It won't be there. And if they do have a copy, that's another thing. Do you know they were asking for Convict'S Candy for $7,500 per one book? I'm selling it for $15,000. they're selling it for $7,500. You do the math. Nonetheless, I have your book for $15 at Ghetto Heat. Because Ghetto Heat is the original person who published Convict'S Candy. So, with that said, I think I gave you more than enough energy and information to actually select the book, and I hope you do. Because like I said, I need the readers. Without you, I am nothing. You actually make me here at Ghetto Heat, and I so appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate it so much that I also contact you directly. So again, I thank you. My job isn't easy. My authors aren't easy also. Nonetheless, I managed them well. And here we go. So again, this book, Convict'S Candy, Essence Bestsellers List, National Bestseller, will be out very, very soon. Okay? So, you don't have to contact me. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to have it available for you. And again, I thank you. Because like I said, between Ghetto Heat and the actual follow-up, my first novel that I published for Damon Amin Meadows and Jason Poole, Convict'S Candy, changed my life, changed my direction at Ghetto Heat. And it helped me manifest to not just being an urban publisher. Because see, that's another thing. I'm not an urban publisher. I started out that way because that was the market that was hot. And I wanted people to capitalize on my books without pimping the ghetto. Because like I said, I don't just publish books. I publish real books with real content that's going to actually have a difference in the world. I got to have something to say. A lot of these books, they just doing them to make money. That's not what I do at Ghetto Heat. I am not here to pimp the ghetto. I am not here to pimp the ghetto. So no, I don't even do the same story. Like once we do a topic of transgender, we go on to the next book. So I want you to understand, I'm not just an urban book publisher. Convict'S Candy deals with sexuality. But like I said, I've done poetry and prose, sexuality with this book, women's studies, LGBT, science fiction, politics, erotica, so on and so forth. Now I'm actually doing nonfiction. Yeah, nonfiction. Doing memoirs. So I just need you to understand, I'm not the typical urban publisher. And God bless them, because I'm happy everyone is making things happen. But I am far beyond that. Notice. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed me here. You're going to see more of me here on these videos. Doing it just this way. Because I really want to discuss the book. So I told you about it. I'll follow up and maybe I'll do some excerpts. Ooh, Hicks is going to do some excerpts. Yeah, why not? That's what I'm here for. The stores are closed. This is the only type of way you might get some entertainment. So this might be the way to actually read excerpts. And then you actually can purchase my books by looking at my excerpts on social media. How about that? Yeah, so here we go. This is Hickson being creative. Nonetheless, thank you so much, people. Thank you, Ghetto Heat Movement. Thank you, supporters. Thank you, everyone who's been following me since 2003. I really appreciate you. Because like I said, without you, I'm a nobody. And I really need to be somebody. So please, not just purchase Convict'S Candy, purchase all my books that I have published. Again, like I told you just the other day, Ghetto Heat is about to be re-released as a paper book and ebook. But not just that, all Ghetto Heat titles will be in Spanish. Yes, Spanish. ¿Qué pasa? Adios, mijo. Yes, sí, sí. Ghetto Heat Libro. Sí, sí. So understand that I'm taking this company, Ghetto Heat, into another direction. And here we go. So, with all that said, God bless you. Peace and Ghetto Heat. Convict'S Candy, a Ghetto Heat production, coming soon. Just for you, boo. Have a great day, people. Peace and ghetto heat.